Hey folks, this is Lawrence with Fellowship of the Father, and this particular episode will be Fun in the Sun in the 70s. So, if you got to take a look at the summer blockbuster series that I did earlier, everything equates to something else. So, Superman has hidden little gems in it, and if you want to go ahead and take a look at that series, I would encourage you to do so. And just remember that I think a lot of this stuff was recorded out in the field, so please forgive me for the dropped audio when the wind hit the mic. But anyway, so we're going to talk about the symbology of the way decades run. So you had the Roaring 30s. So what do they say? The roaring like a lion. So it was just a roaring time, and then you had the Depression of the 40s, which was where Roaring 20s, yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. Then the 30s. Then you had we moved into World War II in the 30s. So, in other words, each decade has its moments, and it could be quantified generally in a few simple qualities. So the quality of, say, the 60s, since it's six, and six is a human number, and as humans we are sinners, it was a rough time. So it was a time of turmoil, and it was a time of really looking at the America as a whole. So the 50s would be like a boom cycle that came off of the 40s, which was another time of victory. And so you had the 50s, which is a boom cycle. Then you had 60s, which is six, which is a low cycle, which was a rough time. And if you look back at the decades, you could see the patterns. So 70s was about fun in the sun. So it was about the sun. It was about sun energy. So you had the 60s began this concept of the age of Aquarius, and it moved directly into the 70s. So flower power was coming to an end, and then it was time to get to the beach and start wearing copper tone and start cooking yourself out in the sun and darkening your skin according to the sun. And so, like, I grew up in Southern California. The first thing that we would do on a nice summer's day is we would start wiping the tanning oil over ourselves, and then we'd head out to, like, say, the pool, and we'd start cooking ourselves. And some people would go to the extreme of wearing, like, just flat out baby oil, right? But all of a sudden, somehow, all that's gone out the window. You're supposed to stay in the house, and you're supposed to be afraid of the sun. So 70s was a bit of a time of, like, say, sun worshiping, right? So the sun is a source of light, of life, and it is actually really healthy to be in the sun. I'm seeing these videos popping up now. Hey, we've been lied to, and it's actually really healthy to be in the sun. And people that are out in the sun don't even get cancer. So they point to, say, like Africans, they're out in the sun all day long, and that the amount of cancer that they get is nearly nothing. So it's like, you think about that's something to look at. Whether or not it's true, I don't know. You do your own investigative work. I ain't claiming your cancer. I ain't claiming your health. You do all those things for yourself. But something to think about, right? Something to consider is that we are coming out of a time when I was growing up where it was really nice to grow up in the 70s. It was a really cool growing up in the 70s. Although we were losing a lot of the bad habits that America had, as far as, like, being prejudiced and maybe the fossil fuels, we just burn up as much gas as we possibly could. So now we have these vehicles that are more efficient and everything. So we've grown from time to time in these patches. And so another thing that happened, what they're really saying never did happen, is that when I grew up in the 70s, it was smoggy as like crazy. You would look out the window and it would be brown in the skies. And then luckily there would be days where the wind blew it out and you'd see what a blue sky looked like. I grew up in Orange County, California, Southern California. And even with the smog and everything, it was an amazing time to grow up. I'm sorry, but our smog is gone compared to what it was. And yet we're being scolded like little 3-year-olds, like, how dare you burn fossil fuels? How dare you? And it's like, it's really not as bad as you think it is. Go to China, yeah, it's bad. But anyway, so that's what the 70s was about, folks. If you look at it, you will see the patterns of sun worship. We used to the term sun worshipers was used, and then they would say things like, it's not nice to fool Mother Nature, right? So they're talking about nature, they're talking about the sun. Those were kind of the earth values going on in the 70s. And you think about what the fashion was. The fashion was really gaudy and outrageous, and it wasn't really, although they call it fashion, it wasn't really fashion central. It wasn't. It was more about being earthy. So you would tie the knots on the girls' thing. They would tie it, and it wasn't really fashionable. It just looked like you were. It almost looked like you just got out of a farm or something. It was like, who does that? It's just keeping the clothes out of the way, right? That's kind of the vibe of the 70s. But what we'll be doing, I'll be pointing out these patterns. So this time around, we're talking about the sun in the 70s. Next video, keep an eye out for that. It will be about the 80s. And I want you to guess what the 80s is about. Go ahead and put it in the comments below. And if you like these videos, I'll go ahead and post a scripture about the sun. But if you like these videos, like, share, and subscribe, and meet me back here. And we'll be covering a bunch of topics. And ultimately, at the end of it all, this is not frivolous stuff, guys. I know that seems frivolous. The more you open your eyes to reality, the more you see a little bit more each and every day, the more and more you get exposed to what the truth is. And it could be that some of my truths are never going to be your truths. You're not going to believe in what I believe in. If in general your mantra is like, I want to know the truth, then you will gather the truth. You have to throw out some of those things that aren't necessarily true as you gather it, but at the end of the day, you'll be collecting the truth. Once you know the truth, Jesus says the truth will set you free. Hello? That's why I challenge these concepts of, my religion says this, therefore nothing else can be right. My religion says that, therefore, while you're doing that, you're not collecting truth, you're collecting dogma, you're collecting concepts, someone else's concepts. You're collecting what someone else deems to be true, and they're assigning it to you. My conviction has to be your conviction. Get convinced about what I'm convinced about. That's one of the problems that we're running across right now, is that no one is thinking for themselves anymore. Whether you're on the left side of things or the right side of things, do you dare challenge the current thinking in your tribe? Because your tribe could be wrong. It could be wrong on some issues. It could be wrong on a lot of issues. And it could be absolutely right. I don't know. I would say run it through the filters of reality and see what you end up with and accept whatever it is that you end up with. Then you'll know the truth, and the truth will set you free, right? So that's what this channel is about. It's not about little cutesy little things that I've discovered or believe or whatever. It's about ultimately getting people on board with the concept of training yourself to seek the truth, so you be set free, so you won't have to worry about the rock star YouTube channel or the minister who guided you astray, right? You don't have to worry about that stuff anymore. You are taking 100% responsibility for yourself. That's what the channel is about, Fellowship of the Father. So if you like the content, like, share, and subscribe. Leave a comment down below, and we will see you on the next video, and I will talk to you later. Bye-bye.